What up my MMA homies? It's time for more Conor studies. But first, an update. I had a small setback recently, and while it makes me rethink about making more MMA studies, soldier on we must, to finish this series. By the way, small public service announcement. I have a private Facebook group, for those who want the latest updates on all my studies. Even those that have been censored by the powers that be. Also, those of you who would like to support these studies, I present my new limited edition t-shirt. Designed specially for Conor fans, that want to begrudgingly give credit, but still find the need to sneak a salty shot in. Anyways, let's go right into it. Khabib isn't the only one that likes you backed up against the cage. Trapping you against the fence, is also a big part of Conor's game plan. In an ideal world, this is where Conor wants you. With your back to the cage, and him controlling the center. Typically, this is the first battle Conor looks to win, and is an important step towards him imposing his will on you. From the get-go, Conor will try to drive you back with either feints or with strikes. He could be using his kicks, or punches. Sometimes, the very act of Conor stepping into range, is enough to get you to yield ground. Once he can get you backed up, life becomes a living hell for his opponent. Conor will start picking you apart mercilessly. The opponent can't back up, and damage accumulates quickly. As you can see, Conor's posting tactic, which I have previously highlighted, is especially useful. In not only defending takedowns, but keeping you trapped against the fence as he tees off on you. Besides punches, other attacks are fair game. Like knees for example. Or kicks, to the body or to the legs. Many can't take this unrelenting pressure, and while Conor can often find the kill shot on his trapped opponent quickly, others simply crack from the accumulated damage from this sustained attack, and eventually succumb. It's no coincidence that many of Conor's finishes occur with his opponent covering up against the fence. Simply unable to endure any further punishment, rather than being instantly knocked out. Now, getting your opponent backed into the cage is one thing, keeping him there is another. Losing position when your opponent is not disciplined is easy. All you have to do is run around and retake the center. However, the best way to keep center control, is to not lose it in the first place. And lateral cage cutting is the way to go. Conor is good at this, and this is a key component to his fight strategy. I've made a video on this before, but in summary, the basic idea is to beat the circling movements of your opponent, by moving in straight lines. This way, you can beat them to the center of the cage. It doesn't matter whether you circle to the left or to the right. Conor will move sideways to take the shortest path back to the center. Once here, he can begin to start backing you into the fence again. Reaching the center first is important. Conor's feet have time to set first to be ready for your next move. Being ready to instantly react is a big part of Conor's strategy. He wants to pressure you into attacking first with this cage-cutting footwork. Conor needs space behind him to do his best work, and when he's boxed in, things aren't going well. With his opponent no longer under pressure to escape the fence, Conor's opportunities to counter off your mistakes is reduced greatly. Against Nate Diaz, some of Conor's worst moments were when he was unable to hold the center of the cage. Conor was no longer able to focus on striking at range, and instead had to spend time trying to circle back to the center. Looking to counter while backed up is risky. Yielding further ground could result in him clinched up against the fence. Furthermore, Conor's posting defense, while effective, needs open space to work. Using this defense while he is backed up, will fail, as he has no space to back into, even if he has the shoulder post. Conor is acutely aware that getting crowded out is his kryptonite. Now, I know what some of you are thinking.
This is number one bullshit.
Why even play this silly game? Why not just break out to the center? Just charge out, the moment you get backed up, or after you manage to circle out. But this is what Conor wants, for you to charge at him, so that he can walk you into his left straight. Conor wants to pressure you with his cage cutting, to make you lunge recklessly, so that he can catch you mid-step. This is where his shoulder posting and left counter shine, when you come out swinging, so that he can pick his shots. As long as he has space behind him, he has the luxury of either prioritizing, defending a takedown or a clinch. Or, he can choose to release his post, and let you walk into his counters. Trying to break out with shots is also not ideal. While in the center, Conor has ample space which he can back out into. making defending takedowns easier. Feinting shots is also risky, as Conor can just skip out of range and hunt for the counter as you reset. Conor is not invincible, and no strategy is infallible. But shots from a distance, with no setup, is not the way to defeat this strategy. Getting back to the center, using a simplistic jab feint takedown setup, seems unlikely either. I won't go into a detailed preview between Khabib and Conor now. But I want to point out one obvious observation. As many have pointed out, in the comments to this video, a smaller Chad Mendes took Conor down. According to many viewers, this invalidates Conor's shoulder posting tactic. And probably also invalidates Conor's cage-cutting strategy. Such silly moves won't work against Khabib. Upon which I say, just because Conor has been taken down before, doesn't invalidate everything he does. Fighters continually learn and evolve from their mistakes. In his old fights, once Conor had you trapped, he would start unloading his whole arsenal on you. Many of his past fights are full of him leaping in with strikes, looking to rack up damage. In the Chad fight, either due to confidence or lack of awareness, Conor was stepping in aggressively, looking for kill shots, giving Chad many opportunities to get reactive takedowns. In the first Diaz fight, Conor gassed himself, while unloading a barrage of strikes, aggressively trying to take Nate out with his power. Conor's strategy has changed since. Specifically, one big adjustment he has made is his tactics once he corners you. He is no longer recklessly stepping in once he has you trapped. He is much more aware of his vulnerabilities when he goes on the offensive, and shows restraint and discipline. Old Conor was giving up easy takedowns or getting clinched up, from being too aggressive against a cornered opponent. Instead, he now patiently pots shots on the outside using his range, waiting for you to break towards the center, where he can counter. His strike volume goes down, but this lets him ration his cardio. His last fight, against Eddie Alvarez, was a good display of his change in strategy. Now more patient, Conor chose his shots carefully, and waited for Eddie to come to him, rather than going to Eddie. There's more to this strategy than just a change in aggression, but I'll leave that for the next video. Do let me know if you think this is the right strategy to use against Khabib. Alrighty folks, thanks for watching and do remember to subscribe, to stay updated on this Conor series. Till next time.
Conor keeps showing us something new. Conor has not showed us everything. That's the big intangible that you have to take into consideration. Conor came in to the sport with a very unique skill set. Jab the head, teep the body, look for that left, pressure his opponents, get in their head before the fight. I mean, it's very unique. But he also hasn't had to show everything.